There we go. We're officially recording. Yay! Monday night call. I love our time together, and I'm so happy that you're on live. And if you're listening to the recording, I'm glad that you have taken time out for this, because I think it's going to be really good, valuable information for you tonight. And I'm just looking forward to going through all of this, talking through information overload. So whether you're a brand new coach or you've been coaching for a long time, this really is focusing in on personal development, because it's a part of our 3 vital behaviors. It's a part of the lifeline of how we grow our business and grow a successful business. And so it's so important that this is something we're doing every day. However, it can also hurt us in a lot of ways. And so I want to dive into that. Yeah, I think I'm just going to go into that. There's really no announcements tonight for our team, and anything that pops in my head or anything that you need to know, I will post it on our team page for sure. But anyways, thanks for being on live. So let me go ahead and dive into this. So the title tonight is Information Overload. How on earth are we going to simplify it? And when we do, ultimately that's going to lead us to having a more successful business, because I believe the number one reason why coaches quit is because they're overwhelmed and they feel overloaded and they feel like they just can't keep up. They just can't do it. And here's the truth is that yes, our lives are busy. Yes, we get overwhelmed. Yes, our business can end up taking a back seat. But the truth is that there's a way to run this business to where even if you've got a full-time job, you've got kids, you've got a crazy hectic schedule, that this can still work for you. It's just about simplifying what you're learning and not allowing yourself to just get so completely overwhelmed that you just feel like you have to quit or take a step back or whatever that looks like. So I really want you to consider everything I'm talking about tonight. And I know that, again, this is just another way for you to absorb some information, our call, but I really want you to think through these things. I'm going to give you 5 points on how to really simplify what you're learning and how to absorb it, but not just absorb it, to really be able to give it a place to go and give it space and honestly just organize it to where you can actually take action on what you're learning and not just feel like you're absorbing it like a ton every day and you're just, just catching things here and there as they come. And that's my goal tonight, is just that you can finally get a good grasp on your personal development, but also be able to use it in the best way possible. That's going to give you the success that you're looking for, because we do this so that it will help us grow. But like I said earlier, this can really hurt us in the sense that, man, if we take in way too much information, we just begin to truly drown in it. And then it's just, honestly, what happens is we're wasting time, because when we're taking in so much information and not acting on what we're doing, then we're just taking in a lot of information. And that time that we were listening to podcasts and the time that we took out to read a book or whatever, we could be using that for other things that are going to help us expand our business in different ways. So, all right. So all of that said, let me give you this truth, because for so many of us, especially if you're on this call tonight, I know that you are hungry. If you're listening to this recording, I know you're hungry to grow. You're hungry to be successful. You're hungry to make your business worth every minute that you put into it. I believe it, because I'm there with you. I don't want to waste time. Our lives are busy. I want every minute of my business to count, and I want everything that I learn and absorb through personal development. I want it to have a place to go, and I want to be able to act on it. But here's the truth. Only people who have 24 hours a day to work can do it all. So I'll say it again. Only people who can work 24 hours a day, 7 days a week can do everything. So if you didn't catch that, the truth of the matter is that not one single coach in the network can do everything all the time. Okay. And I want you to grasp that, because I think in our heads, a lot of times we assume that the people who are successful just have more time. They just have more, resources. They just have more than we do. The truth of the matter is that there's nobody who can do it all. And so when you're taking in all of this, on a daily basis, when you're taking in your personal development, when you're listening to things and you're going, oh, that's a really good idea. Or, oh, I really like the way that she does that. I need to switch up what I'm doing and make it look like that. Or when we're taking all of this in, the tendency, I think, in our brain is that we can do that. Like, okay, once I implement that, then my business is going to change. The reality is that we get that great information, but we usually don't end up having all of the time to implement it, or we start to implement it and forget about it, or we implement it fully and then just don't really execute it very well, and we don't take advantage of it. And I know that because I've done all of those things a bajillion times, because I love personal development. I love listening. It's changed my life, but I've not always been the best steward of that. And so that's the whole purpose. So just remember, as we go into this talk tonight, that we can't do it all. So what that means is that we've got to get really organized with what we're learning. We've got to really break it down to where, okay, I know that I can take this piece of information and use it and absorb it and actually, put it into play, and anything else I can just let go. It's not for me, whatever. So number one, here's the 5 tips on how to really simplify the personal development that you are learning and to be able to use it for your business and make it count. Number one is, so for every minute or every moment, every podcast, every minute that you spend in personal development, I want you to write down 2 things. So every time that you're listening to a podcast, don't even hit play on the podcast, and don't open the book until you have a pen and paper with you to be able to write down notes. And here's the 2 things that I want you to write down. Number 1 is I want you to take down 1 to 2 top takeaways from what you just read or what you just listened to. So now pages of notes are great, don't get me wrong, but this can get really overwhelming, because then you've got a whole page of notes to read through and dissect and organize and do all these things, which is great. But what I want you to do is I want you to narrow that down. So if you do take a page of notes, I want you to quickly narrow it down to at least 1 or 2, actually no more than 2. So no more than 2 top takeaways. And I want you to, highlight it, circle it, whatever you need to do. So that's number 1. And then number 2 is you need to write down an action step. So from what you learned, those 2 takeaways, 1 to 2 takeaways, what is the action step that you can implement right now? Not like 6 months from now, not a few weeks from now, but like today. How can I implement this into my business today? So those are the 2 things. So every time you sit down with your personal development, before you even start reading, I want you to have a piece of paper that says number 1 and number 2. And I want you to write down those 2 things, because that's how you can just simplify what you're reading. Instead of taking pages and pages, it just gets really overwhelming. And I've been there. So it's really good to just narrow it down, have a really clear focus of, okay, I'm sitting down. I've got a map, a game plan of how I'm going to get through this information. And then I'm going to move into point number 2, because what you have written down is what I want you to actually implement, but here's how I want you to do it. So, and you may already have this in place. And again, just take this in. It doesn't mean that you necessarily have to do it this way, but here's what I think would help you simplify your information. It would help you simplify your week. So instead of trying to do everything every day, because this is my tendency, is that I know I got to get the 3 vital behaviors done. I got to get the power hour done. I got to make sure I've got new connections. I've got to schedule my social media. I've got to do all these things, right? So in our head, we're like, oh my word, I've got 30 minutes today to get everything done. I've got to cover all my bases. I've got to follow up. Here's what I want you to do. So instead of trying to do it all every single day, because again, remember, nobody can do it all every day. Save yourself the frustration. As I want you to consider making a weekly calendar. So what do I mean by that? I mean that each day should have a specific focus. So it doesn't mean that you're only going to do this one thing every day, because as you know, there's other parts of the business aspects that just naturally come, like getting your workout done and talking about it on social media, or drinking your Shakeology and talking about it on social media. Those are things, that come kind of with the territory. But if you're going to have one central focus, like if there's one thing that you're going to make sure that you get done for sure that day of the week, this is literally just an example. You can write this down if you want to, or just make a note that you would put in, what it is that specific task that you want to make happen for that day. But let me just give you an example. So on Monday, you could focus solely on making new connections. So what does this mean? This means the main focus of your day is reaching out and making brand new connections, people you've never talked to before. While you're out, your goal in your head, today's Monday, my day's new connections. I'm going to be more intentional when I'm out in public making new connections and this and that. Obviously, we do that all week long, but this is like a really focused day on making new connections on social media, whatnot. On Tuesday, could be your main focus could be follow up and reconnecting. So this is following up with your new connections and then reconnecting with people that you've known from your past or people that, you talked to 3 months ago, reconnecting with old challengers, whatever. On Wednesday, you could make that your video day. Like that's the day that you record all your video for your team. You could record videos for, your social media platforms or your challenge groups, but that could be like a dedicated video day. Thursday, you could make that like your business presentation day to where you set up phone calls that you want to present the business to certain people, or you create webinars that have the business presentation, you schedule it, whatever. That could be that day. Friday, you could schedule all of your calls with your teammates or your getting started right calls, whatever. Saturday maybe could be like you could schedule your posts or your group posts or gathering content. Okay, again, this is just an example. This is just, you may be thinking, oh my gosh, this is so much information. And I'm not trying to overwhelm you with information on this topic. I just wanted to give you an example of how you can schedule your week and simplify your week instead of feeling like you have to do everything every single day, because that, again, is our tendency in our brain. Like, we've got to do it all. I've got to make new connections, present the business, sell challenge packs. I've got to do everything in one day. And that is just going to completely overwhelm you. It's going to discourage you. And the days that you don't complete it all, you're not going to feel like you had a good day in business. And so I don't want you to fall into that trap, because it's not the truth. When you don't get everything done, that doesn't mean you've had a bad day. It just means that, and here's the other thing too. When you have a specific focus for that day, if you make more new connections on your new connection day than you normally do, that's success. If you make new connections on any day, that's success, right? But I just want you to really consider simplifying your whole week. And so what that means too is, when we go back to number 1, when you're writing down those top takeaways and those action steps, then you look into your scheduled week and you say, okay, I just listened to an awesome call by this successful coach about how to present the business. So that you take that information and you implement that information into your Thursday, or whatever day that you present the business, or whatever. Maybe you listen to a call about how to like set up a really great system to make new connections. I don't know. But so what you do is you take that information that you learned and okay, this is exactly where I'm going to implement it. Like it's not just going to be like a blanket statement over all of my business. Like, this is specific information for this day on how I'm going to go about handling this situation. And so it just hopefully will simplify it for you. If you can just simplify your week, and then every piece of information has a place to go. And that's what's so cool, is that whatever you're learning, it's not just like, oh, that's cool, I'll keep that in the back of my mind. No, what you're learning goes specifically into a certain place. And so then you really feel like you're implementing and you're successful in what you're listening to and all of that. So that's number 2, is considering making a weekly calendar to simplify your main tasks each day and your main focuses. Okay, so number 3, I want to encourage you to become a really great analyzer. So what does that mean? Simply analyzing what you're learning and analyze the information so that okay, this is something that I can implement that would be really good for me. Because here is the truth, and you've already probably noticed this, that not every call, not every podcast, not every book that you read, not every piece of information is something that's going to work for you. Especially when you start listening to a lot of coaches and stuff, like, the truth is that it might work for them. It doesn't work for you. There's a lot of coaches in the network that handle, that do calls with their team and do, we're doing a nightly call tonight, but like they set up one-on-one calls all in the evening time. And they may not have kids. And so for me, that might work great for somebody else. But for me, like with my girls, I do our Monday night call, but really for the most part, I don't schedule any other kind of calls even after dinner time, just because it's family time. And so there's certain things like that where you're going to pick up information from what you're learning, where it's okay to say, you know what, that's not for me. That doesn't fit my goal. That doesn't fit the vision for my business. That doesn't fit how I do things. That doesn't fit how I want people to perceive my business as, whatever. So really become a really good analyzer. And I don't even know if that's how you say it. Is that even proper English? I don't know, guys, but you know what I'm saying. Just become really good at analyzing the information, and don't feel like every coach who says something is exactly how you're supposed to do it, because I promise you, you'll be like this. You'll be like, oh my gosh, that's great information. Okay, I'm going to do that. But wait, oh no. Okay, well, they do it like this. Okay, I probably should do it like this. Okay, and then you're going to literally be running around and you're going to be like, this is so stressful, because coaches, they do it kind of the same, but a little bit different. And I like how they all do it. I want you to just become really good at not jumping on top of everything, but I want you to look at the information and see if that fits you, how you want to run things. Is that going to make your life easier, or is it just going to complicate the system that you already have? Because I promise you that not every system is going to make your life easier and easier and easier. There's some out there that it works for them. Like Chalene Johnson, she does everything from her phone. She does, and she tells you like everything needs to happen here, like your calendar and this and that. You guys, as much as I try, I just can't. I'm not there. I'm just not there yet. And it doesn't work for me like it does for her. And so that's okay. Like, you just have to figure out what works and what doesn't. But you have to make the best decision for you, and be really picky about it. Be picky about the information that you actually start implementing. You don't have to implement it all. Okay, so number 4 is I want you, and I kind of touched on this a little bit, I want you to really study the successful coaches who are in the same stage of life that you are in. They're in the same, like, not necessarily environment, but they just have they're in the same life stage to where they have the similar freedoms that you might have, or they have similar just, I don't know, work environment or something. I want you to study the coaches who are a lot like you, because that's how you're going to find those little things, those little tidbits of like, oh man, that works for them. That would really work for me too. I work a 9 to 5. So however they, how they utilize their lunch hour, I could do that, and that would work really well for me. So I want you to study the coaches who are in the same life stage as you, because again, for me, I can't run my business the same way that like a Brittany Leggett would, who is, she was a nurse, full-time nurse, and now but she doesn't have kids. She kind of runs things differently. And so, I tend to follow more of like a Melanie Mitro, or of course a Michelle Myers, because we're in the same stage of life, and we have the similar schedules. Obviously, I don't have the same schedule as Melanie Mitro, but you know what I'm saying. So that's what I want to encourage you to do. That is don't get caught up in trying to make your business look just like a coach who doesn't have the same lifestyle that you do, because it'll get a little bit frustrating. They may have just a different opportunity to, use certain times of day that you don't have, and vice versa. So just keep that in mind, but really study coaches who are just like you in the same life stage, and see what they do. Pick up on their little habits. Pick up on the things that they do really well, even though they may have a really busy schedule like you do, or, whatever that looks like. So study them. Okay, and then number 5 is I want you to, okay, and Shalene just talked about this tonight on the Periscope, so I don't know if you guys follow her on Periscope, but I was like, oh, this is perfect timing. The best thing that you can do for yourself as a coach is to get really, really good at something, at whatever you're learning, whatever you're implementing, and the things that really like just get your heart racing. You're like, that is what I've been looking for. That's going to really help my business. That is gold, because that's, the way that she does this, working a full-time job, and how she implements this is perfect. That's what I've been looking for. Whatever it is that gets your heart racing, get really good at that before you listen to other calls or read other books about that specific topic. Learn to master things before you start absorbing more and more information about the same topic, because again, you're going to get a little bit overwhelmed with all of the information, all of the different ways that it's the same thing, but parts of it are tweaked. And so it's like, oh, well, maybe I should start doing it a little bit like that, and it just gets a little bit confusing. So I want to encourage you to get really, really good, master these things that you're learning, like really get really good at them before moving on and trying to gain more knowledge about that certain topic. I think that's so, so important. And I wrote down, this is so cheesy, but I had to share it because I feel like, okay, it kind of makes sense. Okay, don't be a pool of information, because a pool of water, a body of water that is, in a pool, it has restrictions, it's on all sides, it just sits there, doesn't move, there's no movement, there's nothing going on, you put all the water in, it just sits, right? But if you can think of your business as being a river, and you're constantly adding water and information, good information is being poured in, and you're utilizing it, and you're moving it, and you're getting really good at it, that's what creates life. That's what creates movement in your business. So if you just retain a lot of information like a pool, you just retain a lot of water and it just sits there, and it's like, it's all good. I mean, water's good. It's the same water. It's just in different places, right? Some people take in a lot of information, and I've seen this with a lot of coaches, to be honest, is they get really good at doing personal development. They pride themselves in doing personal development. But the problem is there's no fruit from the labor of listening and spending time in personal development. Like they do a lot of it, and that's great, and I love that. But they don't really put action steps to it. They kind of feel like, okay, well, I've listened to it. I've learned how to do that. And sometimes it's almost like they feel like that's good enough, that they know that they're absorbing, that they're spending time doing personal development. It's one of the 3 vital behaviors, and I'm doing it. I'm consistent in that every day. But the problem is you're just putting water in the pool. Literally, that's it. Like, that's great. You can go for a swim, but like a river is what is going to really, truly create life in your business and keep it moving. And so that's where you want to be. It's really cheesy, and I'm really sorry about that. But I was like, what else? I'm trying to think what else is going to be a good analogy for putting the information in and then putting action to it right away. So that's my encouragement is, whatever you're learning, whatever it is that you go, that's what I need to implement. I love that. I'm going to get really good at that. I'm going to implement it right away. Do it immediately. Even if you're like, I don't know enough about this topic, or I'm scared. I've never done a video before. I've never actually held a webinar. I've never done this. I don't know how to do it. That's the biggest thing, I think, is coaches who hesitate. They put it off and put it off and put it off until they're not passionate about it anymore. It's not something that really matters to them. It's irrelevant now in their business or irrelevant to their team. And that's what gets dangerous, is that we sit on things for way too long, instead of just going, okay, I know what I need to do, and I'm going to do it right now. I'm going to implement it. That's a great system. That's going to really help me. And here's a big one. If you are a coach who's really trying to grow your team, right? You know that growing your team is what creates that big residual income. It's what allows you to, really grow faster. If you have a goal to build a big team, you've got to have a great system in place right now on how to get your coaches started right. Excuse me. So that's one thing that that's information that once you learn how to do that, you can't put that off. That has to be implemented right now. Because if you want to sign coaches and grow your team, you just don't know when that coach is going to sign up. They could sign up tonight, and then you're like, oh man, I don't even know what to do with them. I don't even know where to go. So there's certain things that are really important. So, but I just want to encourage you, don't let anything just sit and simmer. Do it. Just act on it, because that's what allows you to move forward. That's what allows you to learn and grow. And success happens because of failures. Through failures is how you succeed. You don't get to success by doing everything perfectly, by waiting until the perfect time. You don't hit that level of success by just hoping and praying for the right opportunity. The successful people that you see are the ones who just did it. They're like, I know that's important. I know I need to do that. That needs to happen. I'm just going to do it. I don't know anything about it, but I'm going to do it. And if I fail, then I'll get better. It's great experience. But I just want to encourage you. So as you're gaining that information, be really good at picking apart what it is that's going to work for you. And then all other information, just let it go. Let it go. Don't hang on to it thinking like, oh, I probably should start doing that down the road. Just pick out what works for you, implement it right away, simplify it. But again, I really want to encourage you, don't Don't move on and keep absorbing information until you've been able to really master certain areas of the stuff that you're learning. And that's going to be what really allows you to move forward without getting overwhelmed, without feeling like you are drowning in Beachbody information. And just keep it really simple. Whatever it is that you can do to simplify your business, that's a key. And again, we think that, the most successful people just are doing everything every day. That's not the case. And you've even heard Melanie Mitro, who's the #1 coach, who has said, that each week for her looks different. She doesn't do everything every day. She doesn't do the exact same things every day. She implements the 3 vital behaviors each day. But again, like I had kind of mentioned, that's not her main focus. She gets those done, but then she's got certain things that she focuses on that are important for that time. And so that's where you have to decipher and really figure out what matters today, what matters this week, what really matters this month. If I have a goal of going diamond at a certain time, knowing that, you have to reverse engineer it, just like Chalene Johnson teaches you. You've got to reverse engineer it, figure out, okay, if I need to be diamond in 2 months, I know I need 8 coaches, and I know I need 2 of those 8 to be emerald. And so I gotta be presenting the business 5 times a week. I need to be signing 2 coaches a month minimum, in order to make that, it's actually 4 coaches a month minimum. But anyways, that's beside the point. So you just have to really figure out, okay, exactly how do I hit that goal, get really focused and simplify it. And that's what's going to allow you to not feel like you're drowning in all of the information that you're learning. And this needs to be applied for brand new coaches and veteran coaches alike, because again, with the personal development comes life change, but it can also bring on a lot of just feeling super overwhelmed. So don't let it overwhelm. If you start feeling that way, then you got to pull back, and I want you to really pull back. And then I want you to dive back into what you've already taken notes on. And that's when I want you to do that. Take your top takeaways, go back through it, and then get your action steps and have a to-do list and a plan. So don't keep taking information. If you're feeling overwhelmed, stop taking in new information. Go back, review what you've learned, take out the things that you feel would really benefit you, and put the rest away for now. Get really focused, get really good at doing certain things that are going to propel your business forward. And that's how you can move forward, be successful by minimizing a lot of what you're learning into certain things and taking action on it. So I hope that helps. I hope that will, kind of clarify some things if you are feeling overwhelmed. And just understand that this is a business that takes time, and it grows over time. And you don't have to know everything right now. You just have to become a really good listener and a really good analyzer, to where you can take apart what you need, get rid of the rest, and move forward, and teach your teams as you're growing your teams. Teach your teams to do the same thing. Don't let them get to the point where they're feeling overwhelmed with information. If you sense that in your downline, anywhere in your downline, you've got to put a stop to it and explain to them, okay, let's take a step back. Don't take in any more information right now. Let's go back to what you've already learned. Let's go through it. Let's pick apart what's good, what you need, and implement that right now. And that's where we're going to be. And that's where you're going to take it. So I hope that helps. Do you guys have any questions? Let me open up the chat, because I know if you guys see the chat box at the bottom, if you guys have any questions, I'd love to at least answer, but no pressure. To ask questions.
I bet Trisha has a question.
I have a new shiny board.
Yay!
Look at the markers.
Whoa!
Nice as we speak.
Are you? All right. No, I don't have a question, surprisingly, but I do have something I'd like to share, because you all know, I think most of you all know who Andrea is. And
yes.
She's my success partner. She's also a Beachbody coach, but through someone else.
Mm-hmm.
Kitty cat. We talk. We catch up weekly on business and stuff. And what you said about taking a step back, we were talking about it today, because the past month probably she's been struggling really bad with feeling overwhelmed.
Mm-hmm.
And she is a holistic doctor. She works one-on-one with people. So for her, talking to people and running a business, it's what she does.
Yeah.
Body is all new to her. And I told her, and I've said this to her before, because she's on vacation right now. She said, I needed this. I needed to unplug, and I'm so happy that I did. And I said, every new coach goes through what you're going through right now. Every single new coach. It doesn't matter if it's within the first few weeks, if it's 6 months into them being a coach. Everyone goes through that. Every single person, top person, middle person, whatever. And like, I'm proof of that. You're proof of that, Emily.
Mm-hmm.
It's just you either you have two choices. You go this way and you quit.
Right.
And you can linger there. Like I lingered. I never stopped being a coach, but I didn't do anything with it. Or you quit.
Yep.
Or you keep going, but you kind of take a step back. Like she took a step back and she needed to do that. And she was, do you say those things to your coaches? I'm like, absolutely. Because you know the truth. Like we all go through it.
Yep.
And we get super overwhelmed. Like what can you do for yourself to kind of like zen? Yeah. Like it's okay to take a step back and say, I just need to stop for a day, for a few days.
Yep.
It's okay. Like everyone. Absolutely. So I just felt like that really related. And, she's feeling like recharged and ready to come. That's good.
You definitely have. Yeah, you have to have boundaries, because as an entrepreneur, when you own your own business, you could work 14, 15-hour days and not even think twice. You're not on the clock. You are on, it's whenever. Yeah. Which is the beauty of what we do. And that's the huge privilege that we have, is that we create our own hours. However, if we are not careful, if we don't set up boundaries, we will end up, overworking. And so what you have to do is you have to be really committed as a coach to set aside that time of rest. Like for me, I don't work for the most part on Fridays. You won't see much from me on Fridays. And you won't see much from me on Sundays. And those are the 2 days where it's really, especially Sundays, you really won't see anything from me. And Fridays are family day. So I wake up really early, work before everybody gets up, but then I'm done. Like I try not to work anymore. So you just have to set those boundaries in your own life and, and then go from there. But I think that's such a great point, because it can get really overwhelming. You can feel like all you ever do is Beachbody stuff at times, if you're really putting a lot of time and effort into it. And so you have to set your own boundaries with it, as with anything. And just say, these are my work hours and these are the hours I won't, so, and we owe that to our families and our spouses and the people we're with. We owe that to them to have those boundaries. So because we're doing this for them, ultimately ourselves and for them. So we owe it to them to definitely set that in place. But that was such a great point. I appreciate you saying that for sure.
Can I add one last thing?
Yeah, of course.
I think because it's not only like the tasks, like the behind the scenes stuff that overwhelm us, but like even for her, she was saying, I was just getting so frustrated because of the amount of time and commitment and passion that I was putting into conversations and getting nothing out of it.
Right.
That is part of this. It's a huge part of this. That's why we go for no.
Yes.
So I just feel like that's definitely part of being overwhelmed. You keep working, you work, and then you don't see what you want to see right away. But if you do keep working, and consistent with those basics, then it will end up working out for you.
Exactly. And if you guys have not listened to Chelsea Pearson's call from the National Wake Up Call this morning, holy smokers, yes, please go listen to that. She's the one who she inspires me big time, just about how to create a really healthy community as a coach, your team. And, she just said her biggest point was that she emphasizes the relationship before you ever sell anything, the relationship before you ever present anything, that when you put everything you've got into those relationships without ever even knowing if it'll lead to anything with your business, she said that's where the gold is. You just pour into people, and that's what, that's where you build your business. So anyways, okay, I won't keep you guys anymore unless there's any other questions. Yeah.
Okay, so like on those days that you are like taking like a little, like a step back, so like on your Sundays or on your Fridays, are you still inviting people? Like, are you still doing those 3 vital behaviors, or are you like picking one day during the week where you're concentrating more on invitations so that you don't have to be so hard on it every day?
Right. So basically I technically really work 5 solid days a week. That's what I work. And so I will do the 3 vital behaviors those 5 days, no question. And so on Sunday, I do nothing. And then sometimes Fridays, I'm usually doing a little, at least those, if not more work above that. But Saturdays, Sundays, you're not going to really find me doing much of that, especially Sundays, nothing. And I think it's really good to have a day a week where I think it's really healthy for you to not, to kind of take a break and let everything kind of catch up. Because you guys know, when you make new connections, then most people aren't like instant to respond. And then it's like a day or two later. And so all of a sudden you're like a couple days a week, you're like swamped with messages because you're like, well, if you would have messaged me the same day, but right. So hopefully that helps.
Yeah.
Okay.
My boyfriend's listening right now. He's like, yeah, you need to do that. I'm like, wait, babe, I have to make a post. Just give me 1 second. Yeah. Like, wait, she finally messaged me back. I have to talk to her really fast. Yeah. I don't want to be like, I've been working on not being so available to people, right. Not responding right away, but you do get excited when people finally engage or want to talk about it and ask questions. And I'm like, okay, it'll take me 2 seconds, but it always takes me way longer.
Yes.
So I just need to get a little bit better at that. And my biggest thing is like when you're inviting people every day or you're talking like that Monday through Friday, if you're trying to make new connections, you don't want to jump right into like the Beachbody stuff. So like what if you don't have anybody that you haven't talked to, like you've already talked to the people that you're comfortable with talking about Beachbody, right. And then other ones you're trying to make new connections, so you don't want to be like salesy and like right. Try to like get them right away. So when you say like invite, do you mean just like more so like create new relationships and like just engage with people like on their life or?
Yes.
Okay.
Yep. Totally. So, cause what happens there is, you're gonna have days where you feel like, wow, everybody is responding about Beachbody, about health and fitness, and that's what they want to talk about. Then you're going to have other days where even though you've poured in the same amount of effort into making new connections, you're not going to talk about Beachbody much at all. There's just going to be days like that where it's like an ebb and flow of, but the thing is, and always remember that even on those days where you feel like you're talking to a bajillion people, but you haven't talked about health and fitness at all, that those are all, every single one of those counts because eventually that'll come up. And even if it doesn't with everybody, it's going to come up with the right people, at the right time.
Yeah.
And so because you're going to have times where you're maybe even on your day off and you're going to get a few messages of people like, okay, I'm ready to get on Shakeology, or I'm ready. And you're like, wow, I didn't even do anything today. And yet here I've got customers coming to me. So
I have the weirdest conversation. Somebody asked me the other day, like what kind of underwear they should wear to work out in. It's cool that people are coming to me like, hey, right. Or like asking me questions about certain things. Like my mom, I went grocery shopping with her today because she's
cool.
So many issues, and it's just so much easier to be in person and talk to people about like health and fitness and nutrition and like show them. Like it was so much easier to like be with my mom, show her how to read a label. This is what you should buy. This is what you should buy. And now it's like people kind of like trust in you more.
Yes.
So when they're ready, they know where to go to find,
Exactly. Yep. Okay. Yep. And I think, and who was it? Oh gosh, now I can't remember, but she had done a national wake up call months ago and was just saying like, she goes, I think everybody gets really hung up on this inviting thing, like that they've got to invite to a challenge. They've got to invite like 10 people to their challenge group every day. And, you hear that, but she's like, you know what? I just invite them to my life. She's like, when I think of inviting, I invite them to my fitness page. I invite them to connect with me. I invite them to like, let's go have a play date at the park. Like I invite people to my life on a daily basis. And because when they're doing that, because Beachbody is such a big part of my life, they're going to see Beachbody. They're going to see a healthy lifestyle. They're going to want to get plugged in. So, think of ways like how you can get people plugged into just your life. And I think that's the best way to go about inviting. And then, when you plug them into your life, then they feel like they're not going to be sold on anything. It's like, oh, she just wants, she wants to go whatever,
think that's what I like get down on myself the most, because I'm good about like posting. I try to give people like good information, like a wide variety of things, but then I'm like, I just feel like not good, like trying to like constantly like get Beachbody in the conversation and invite people to like, I feel like I'm pushing things on them when I would rather just talk to them like, what's going on in your life, you know, like try to understand them and where they're at, because doing that makes it easier for me to see what they actually need. And I can actually really help them with something that they don't need at all, and I'm just pushing on them.
That's everything. That's everything, to be able to do exactly what you just said, where you just talk to people about life. And when you live your healthy lifestyle out loud so much, to the point where people can't sit down and talk life with you without it coming up at some point, without them saying, hey, so yeah, I saw your page and I saw that, you know, you take people to the grocery store and help them find healthy stuff, you know, and then it just comes up, you know, and that's what I found more than anything, is that I don't really have to bring it up. I mean, it's been almost 3 years that I've been in this business, but I don't have to really bring it up anymore, because people just know, you know, hey, I saw, because now what's happening is people who follow me are inviting their friends to follow and to see what's going on, but they're inviting them to see my fitness stuff. Because that's, you know, and so then I get connected with people, and our initial connection is because of fitness. And so does that make sense?
Goals, and that's what's attracting them in the first place. So those are the kind of people who are going to be interested in what you're doing anyway.
Exactly. So just keep living your healthy life loudly, like just not in people's face, but just the way you're doing it, just sharing it, being open and honest and real and helpful. And that's exactly, I mean, you guys are all everybody on this call does such a great job of doing that. And I love watching you guys do that and share, because it's so genuine, and that's what people are attracted to. They don't want to be sold on nobody wants to be sold on anything. So, yeah, I mean, I'm looking at the names and I'm seeing your faces, and I love it, because you guys truly do such a great job. So it's awesome. So any other questions or anything you want to discuss before I let you go?
My boyfriend's, come on, I want to turn on the TV. He's
going
to the word Beachbody pretty soon. So.
That's awesome. Tell him hi. Thanks for listening. That's awesome. Okay, I'll let you guys go. Enjoy the rest of your evening. Let me know on Team 180. Go ahead and just post any questions or whatever. Anytime, you guys know we'll discuss things there too. And then I'll try and get this recording up tomorrow sometime. So anyways, all right, you guys, enjoy your night. Thanks for being on.
Bye. Love you.
Right. Bye.